One question that I had, which we're now starting to see a lot of enterprise customers ask, is around energy and energy consumption and the greenness of their workloads, so to speak. So um, I started looking at this some time ago. The thing that I've always struggled with is that there isn't a good standard or a measure or a metric for it. Historically, we always used TDPs when it came to Intel-based machines to understand what kind of like TDPs were like a proxy for what kind of power consumption they had. The larger the processor, the greater the processor speeds, the higher the TDPs, and that was your proxy for how much energy got consumed. AMD for a while kind of followed that, and then suddenly AMD decided on a completely different way of measuring TDP. So that kind of went out of the window. And now both Intel and AMD do completely random stuff depending on the chip generation that they're talking about. So that metric is, again, completely useless to predict the energy consumption. How does AWS look at its energy? I know that there have been conversations about, like even James Hamilton, when he talked about the graviton and the energy consumption of it, he talks about a 60%, better power consumption or lower power consumption. How does AWS measure that? Like, what are the metrics that are looked at when you're declaring something like energy consumption?
Oh, wow. So this could be an entire segment all by itself. It's something that's incredibly important to us and to our customers. We do realize that when we're building these incredibly large scale data centers, that the outside perception is, wow, that's just like burning tons of really precious energy, and it must throw off lots of carbon and huge carbon footprint. We're doing everything possible to switch to totally renewable energy. We're always looking for ways to add efficiency. One thing we launched last year is something called the customer carbon footprint calculator. I think that's the official name of it. And that attempts to give a very accurate representation to our customers of the carbon footprint of their AWS usage. We continue to add details, and again, this is something you have to get right. We can't just make this fuzzy imaginary number. We try to account for, there we go, customer carbon footprint tool. We try to account for all of the different types of consumption. I think there's 3 different levels, and I think we currently account for the first 2 that are like the direct and the indirect. There's a third one that has a lot more accounting, where you need to take into account different aspects of your supply chain as well. I know that the general thinking is that cloud computing can be and generally is more efficient than running your individual data centers, because we're building new data centers all the time. For most companies, a new data center is, how often do you build one of those? Every 10 years, 20 years? Well, we're building new regions and new AZs all the time. So always learning, trying to make those better and better.
Got it. But specifically around the gravitons, like the fact that you now have 3 sockets on a board, and you're able to get one Nitro to kind of manage the 3 sockets. So you talk about 192 cores being managed out of that. Yeah, there are tons of efficiencies that automatically come from that kind of architecture, and you're fitting it all in a 1U, if I'm not mistaken. So this entire motherboard kind of slots into 1U. But are there any specific metrics or numbers or the mechanisms by which you measure the
I'm sure we have those internally.
Efficiency or energy efficiency of those?
Hang on just one sec there. All right. I'm sure we have those internally. I don't have anything to share with you.
Okay, great.
It would be interesting to have some counterfactual of this is what it would have taken to accomplish the same thing on a Xeon or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's very involved to calculate.